What if I told you about a mysterious encounter between a saint and a man claiming to be the Eternal Father himself? Today we'll explore how Don Bosco's courage and wisdom turned a seemingly bizarre situation into a powerful lesson about God's mercy and justice. The Miracles and Prophecies of Saint John Bosco, a project of America Needs Fatima. I'm your host, Adrian Fonseca. Subscribe for new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Today we'll dive into a remarkable event from January of 1856, when Don Bosco faced one of his most unusual challenges, confronting both heresy and possibly demonic influence in a small Italian village. Keep an eye out for these key themes in today's video: the reality of spiritual warfare in everyday life, how God's mercy and justice work hand in hand, and the power of a saint's word to transform hearts. And a question to ponder: how do you think you would react if faced with such an extraordinary situation? Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Oh, and before we begin, don't forget to check out how you can join our monthly promoter family. The link is in the description box right now, and I'll tell you more about it later on in the video. In January of 1856, the Lord gave Don Bosco the task of clearing out the spiritual weeds that had overtaken a nearby parish. Father Anthony Grignaschki, a renowned heretical priest, had infected the village of Viarigi with his false doctrines. Even the arrest of this man did not put an end to his evil teachings. Enter the meek, the humble, the devoted Saint John Bosco, a zealous core of dyed-in-the-wool fanatics and ignorant, selfish hangers-on called Grignaschkini kept the heresy of their founder alive. The new pastor, Father Melino, held spiritual retreats and missions, but to no avail. At Father Melino's invitation, Don Bosco and Father Borsarilli agreed to preach a mission. Arriving during the second week of January, the entire population of about 3,000 people lined both sides of the road, remarking loudly enough to be heard, "They're just freeloaders. They should go back from where they came from. And they'll be preaching to empty pews." With sabotage in mind, the heretics decided to hold a dance during the mission. Some wealthier members agreed to throw a series of parties for the poorer members to keep them from attending church. At the start of the mission, the attendance was quite meager. When Don Bosco mounted the pulpit to start the mission and noticed the scanty attendance, he did not lose heart. Rather, he touched on the all-important matter of taking advantage of the Lord's mercy when offered. He told them that they had all the more reason to fear this possibility because several villagers were showed a determined opposition to the mission, and he added that the Lord might even punish them by sudden deaths. On the third day of the mission, Don Bosco told the congregation to warn their fellow villagers that if they did not come to the sermons of their free will, God would make them go despite themselves. He then asked them to join him in reciting a pater and ave for the one in the village who would be the first to die. The threat of imminent punishment spread like wildfire. Don Bosco received a visit from several pranksters that same day. "There's someone to see you," they told Don Bosco. "Let him in," Don Bosco said. "But he's a very important personage. I'll receive him with all due respect." "It's the Eternal Father himself." "Indeed. But don't let that worry you. You'll have nothing to fear." "Fine." In walked the Eternal Father, a tall, vigorous old man with a long black beard reaching to his chest, wearing wooden clogs and a hat 2 feet high. He carried a book under his arm and showed surprisingly self-assurance and lordliness. It would certainly have been very unsettling to meet him suddenly at night. His manners of talking was also very peculiar, for he always spoke in rhymes. Introducing himself to Don Bosco, he said, "Behold, to you I came, and no one prevented same." "So you are the Eternal Father?" "Yes, I am the Father Eternal, who's not afraid of things infernal." "And do you know who I am?" In our midst, of course, I know, stands the famous Don Bosco. "Show me your book," Don Bosco said. The man obliged. On every page there were illustrations of priests fighting devils. Devils beating priests, devils sitting astride men, and vice versa. There were also devils dressed up as priests, bishops, and popes. When Don Bosco saw the first of these coarse pictures, he said, "I've seen enough. Now let's talk about important matters. You look like an intelligent man, a thinker. If I should ask who created you, I'm sure you'd answer that God did. If who created me was God, to think of it, it is not my job." "Let's drop this nonsense," Don Bosco interrupted. "Remember that time is passing and death is approaching. God's mercy has its limits if a sinner is obstinate. You better give some thought to that fact, that soon everything will be over for you. Everything's finished and done if with wounds it's overrun. Well, that's enough. Goodbye until tomorrow, if the Lord will willfully allow you that much. Tonight be at our house. There'll be a big carouse." With this parting shot, the old man turned stiffly and stalked out of the room with great dignity. Don Bosco could not tell whether the man was insane, bewitched, or possessed. Evening came, and the party soon got under way. The dinner and dancing were held in a house near the rectory. Shortly after midnight, after quiet had returned, there was an insistent knocking at the rectory door. "A man has had a heart attack! Hurry!" The pastor did, but it was too late. When the grim news spread throughout the village the next morning, everyone recalled Don Bosco's words and regarded this death as God's punishment. From then on, the entire village flocked to the sermons. The unfortunate man who had boasted that he could preach better than the missionaries had indeed done so, but not in the way that he had thought. Don Bosco's encounter shows us the power of prayer for souls in spiritual danger. You too can help souls with the power of prayer. As a monthly promoter, your intentions for the holy souls in purgatory, as well as any other intentions, will be included in our daily rosaries and Saturday masses. Imagine the impact of these prayers of lifting souls to heaven, just as Don Bosco worked tirelessly to save those in spiritual peril. Join our monthly promoter family today and help release souls from purgatory through the powerful intercession of Our Lady's Rosary and the holy sacrifice of the Mass. The link is in the description box down below right now to become a monthly promoter today. When Our Lady of Fatima showed the vision of hell to the three children, she wasn't being cruel. She was showing them what was at stake. The children themselves said that if it weren't for Our Lady's promise that they would go to heaven, they would have died of fright. After seeing that vision, they made every sacrifice possible, their food, water, even a good night's sleep, to save poor sinners from going there. Don Bosco's encounter with this mysterious visitor teaches us similar truths. The reality of spiritual battles in our daily lives cannot be ignored or dismissed. Sometimes, like Don Bosco warning the villagers of sudden death, we need stark reminders of spiritual realities to wake people up. God's mercy always comes first, but His justice follows when mercy is repeatedly rejected. The sudden death in the village served as a powerful reminder of this truth. When souls are at stake, both Don Bosco and Our Lady understood that people need to face reality, even if that reality is frightening. The eternal consequences of our choices are real, and warning people about them isn't cruel, it's an act of charity. Time is precious, and tomorrow is not guaranteed. How are you using the time that God has given you? The bottom line is saving souls. It was for Saint John Bosco. It was for Our Lady of Fatima. And it should be for us too. What do you think about today's story? Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. I would love to know what you think, and I try to respond to as many comments as I can. Thank you for joining me today. Saint John Bosco, pray for us. May God bless you, and Mary Immaculate keep you under her mantle. God love you.